don't know. We set out. I started with an amazing script, and when you start with an amazing script, it's like I felt like it was my job not to mess it up. So everything, I just tried really hard to make sure that I could honor what Kevin wrote, and I think it works. I think it plays like a little movie, but honestly, it was in the writing. I brought a lot to it stylistically in terms of choices that we made, and we shot it like a movie. It's single camera, it's handheld. There's not a lot of gimmicks, but I think movies that I watched were, The Shining and Rosemary's Baby. They're really, like, The Shining to me is horrifying, but if you really watch it and break it down, watch it with no volume, it's really simple. So, somebody walks into a hallway, close up of their face, it's cut to an empty hallway, cut to a big shot of them standing there, you immediately think something's going to come up behind them. It's how we think as human beings, and it's really just trying to put the audience in that place. I really go by the keep it simple rule. I'm always trying to simplify things, and I think episodic television is really hard, and what I didn't want to do was shoot a pilot that we couldn't recreate every week. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when I watch a new show, and I'm like, that pilot's fantastic, but how are they going to do that week in and week out? And you can't. I really think this show, you will get the same show every week because it's actually very simple in its execution. It's really dense, complicated, dramatic in its storytelling, but execution-wise, I think it's fairly simple. I did do a little Bible that, and there's some set of rules that I have for the show, and when I bring directors on, I'll talk to them about it. And it's really to kind of keep it from falling into the conventions of television. It just happens when when you're forced to shoot something in 8 days and squeeze it into 43 minutes, you default to the things that work quickly. And ultimately, every show does that, so every show starts to feel the same. So I'm hoping that this Bible that I put together, and you handcuff the directors a little bit and say, this is what we don't do, they'll be creative. But I'm going to say, this is what we don't do, but go make your movie. Go have fun with it. I want every episode to feel like a little movie. So, short answer, yes, we did create a Bible. Long answer, what I said. Well, Kevin I think he has about 2 seasons planned in his head. I've seen story arc for the first season, which is really great, and we're starting to see that stuff come in now. We start shooting in August, but he knows what he wants. Amazing. Made my job so easy. I mean, I was very lucky with the entire cast. Kevin Bacon, I call him television gold, because you just kind of put a camera on him and you're used to seeing him in movies, and it sort of feels like, oh, this is big, it's Kevin Bacon. But it's great. It's really, directors love that. You love being able to walk onto a set, talk to an actor, give them a note, and they do it. And I think a big part of what makes the show work, it's scary and all that stuff, but at its core, it works because performances are really, really strong. Yeah, I mean, that's what I pride myself most on. Shooting something so it's creepy is fun. Directing is what I love to do, and it's nice when an actor comes in and nails it, but it's really nice when an actor comes in, nails it, and then you go, what if we did this? And then they can do it. And that's what an actor like Kevin Bacon can do. He can adjust. And the best actors can adjust, and then they elevate the material. So yeah, you give them adjustments, but it's not like I'm going in and having to walk him through everything, which you have to do sometimes. Which I've done on other shows. I don't know if it's perfect. I honestly feel like there are things that can be better, but Kevin and I did when we finished working on it, and we were so insecure, and we watched it, and the lights came on, and we looked at each other, and we both literally did, because we really liked it, but we couldn't. You kind of shrug and go, I think it's good. And then when you start watching people watch it, you go, oh, it works. Oh, they like that. I'm excited. This will be my first time seeing it with people today. And I try really hard not to read things because I hate when I read something negative, and it kills me. I'm not gonna lie. It's like when you work so hard on something and someone says something snarky, you're like, you don't know anything. But I feel like so far we've gotten a pretty decent response. Have you guys all seen it? Did I ask you that already?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our general consensus is wow.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, good.
I mean, and dated people here, so.
Well, that makes me really happy. A big part of that, I think, is I didn't see it as a serial killer story. I saw it as a guy. I was fascinated by cult leaders, guys who can convince 150 people to go down to Jonestown and drink the Kool-Aid. Who is that guy? That's scary to me. And so I never approached it as like Dexter, and I directed a lot of that show, but this is very different. It's very character driven, and I love that you feel this could happen to me, because that was sort of what we were hoping for. And I think you're gonna see a lot of really scary moments that happen in broad daylight. I don't know. We just collaborate well together. I read the stuff he does, and he's his worst critic. When I read a rough draft and I'm like, this is brilliant, and he's like, it's going to get better, and I'm like, there's no way, and I'll sit there and think it's not going to get better, and then it does. I just really admire what he does, and I think he just respects what I do, and it's a good working relationship. He trusts me, which is great. And I did a show last year, and I liked the writers, I liked the showrunners, but it was really their show, and I never felt like I could do what I do. And Kevin makes me feel like he's like, it's your show, man. Just do what you do. Well, it sounds silly, but I probably had 17 meetings on The Color of Blood. Like, in having done Dexter, when you wrap a body and you pour blood, like, we tried all kinds of different colors, and that show's a little bit more graphic novel-y, so you a little more license with that. But on this, it was, how do we go real? How do we make it so it feels a little more legit? And we didn't want to plaster everything with red blood everywhere. Right. Well, a lot of it's in darkness also. Like, when you see the gore, the stuff that plays in shadow. The dog sequence is so much better, I think, personally, in the long... We have another version of it where I shot more stuff. I remember I said to my producer, I want maggots and flies and a lot of meat. And he was like, what? And I'm like, trust me. If there's meat laying around, it's going to be maggots. And if there's maggots, it's going to be flies. And then, we shot it, and of course Fox is like, you can't show that. But the crew would walk on set and go, oh my God, what is this? And there's no better feeling than people reacting that way to something, you're trying. That's what we were trying to convey. And I love animals. I have a little girl who's going to be 4, and another little girl is going to be 2, and a baby on the way. The thing that terrifies me the most has to do with that, but I don't want to say as a spoiler.
Yeah.
It's that idea of that. Yeah. But trust. It's hard to even talk because I get excited. I'm like, I want to say things. I'm like, oh, I'll spoil it if I say anything. But and that to me is not a trick. That's not gore. It's going to appeal to anybody who has a child. People who don't have children can, maybe you grasp the idea, but when it's like that really gets you, and if we can do that in the show, I think that's going to be really effective.